I mean, I could say many awesome things about the coalition, but there's always now in my mind a sense of urgency. You know, it's like stop pushing things off, learn as much as you possibly can, implement it. In doing so, you're going to raise the level of quality of your work, your business. You know, and so for me, it was, let's do it now, and I'm so glad I did it.
All right, Vince Longo, Longo Custom Homes out of Atlanta. What's up, buddy?
Incredible, it's great to be here, Mark. You know, I always like being with you.
I know, it's always a pleasure. We're in the same Builder 20, full disclosure. We've known each other for a while, but really, you were actually my way into the Builder 20.
That's right. I had to pull a lot of strings.
Oh man,
I paid a lot of money to get you in there.
Oh boy, man, did you make a bet on the wrong horse.
It was fun, man. I really loved having you there. You really raised the tempo of the group. I mean, you did. I mean, you know, I know you're very, you know, not only you're funny, but you're very humble in a comedian way, right?
Yeah, we make fun of ourselves.
Comedic way, but I think it really, to be honest with you, it really raised, like I say, the kind of morale, and it boosted the group, and so I love having you there.
I'm still your spirit animal. I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, I'll keep you in my pocket.
Well, it's funny. We first met. You were actually fishing in Minnesota.
That's right.
And you came through my artisan home tour.
It was beautiful.
And you came with your buddy that you were fishing with, and I remember you touching the paint on one of our homes, and I'm like a kind of a paint snob, and you were like, "This is darn good work." So anyway, that was our history, but I've probably asked you before to come to the coalition. What was it about this particular Contractor Coalition that you felt that was the right time? Because you had to move a lot. I mean, you were just in Italy with your family.
In Italy.
You had like 2 days back. If you ever had a good excuse to not come,
that's right.
It was this one.
It was this one.
Why
I almost
did you
had
come?
to leave him there. Well, no, because you know, there's never a time like the present, right? You know, I've been in business now 25 years, and I spent a lot of those years pushing things off, right? And I think, you know, between the Builder 20, us talking, your podcast, and Brad's podcast, just there's always now in my mind a sense of urgency. You know, it's like stop pushing things off, learn as much as you possibly can, implement it. In doing so, you're going to raise the level of quality of your work, your business. You know, and so for me, it was, let's do it now. And plus some of your prompting, I would say that. Yeah,
a lot of prompting.
It was a lot of prompting, but it was great, right?
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did it.
You know, you lead, along with Brad Robinson in Atlanta, one of our Curious Builder collectives. You're one of our ambassadors. Yep. And I took a lot of what the collective is. It's only a 4-hour session, 4 times a year. We're here for 4 days, you know, 12 hours a day between, you know, the class and the food and the after and stuff. So, you know, you kind of had an idea of what the spirit of it was, and you're a very, you know, you're somebody that's always looking to, you know, grow your business. You've always been kind of curious minded, like, how do you do that? Like, how do I grow? A growth mindset. Now that you've been here for 2 days, and like I said, you've been in business for a quarter of a century.
Yeah,
how's
holy
that?
smokes.
That makes
I
it sound
can feel
old.
it.
Yeah,
you know, it was funny because earlier we had that incredible session, you know, and we're talking about some of the challenges you face with customers, and we're talking about the emotional roller coaster. And it's something that's really awesome about today in like-minded people is that we also implement that you know, emotional roller coaster. And it's funny because when I first started in business, I thought this was all easy. I was 6'4", and now I'm 5'7", because it just beats you down, the roller coaster, right? And so, no, I think that's one of the things that I like so much about today. And, you know, if I could say, I mean, I could say many awesome things about the coalition, but it's that you hear these things. Number one, you realize you're in the same boat, whether you're just getting started and you're just hearing it and you only dealt with one customer, or you're like some of the guys in the coalition and just the people that are attending that, hey, this is your 25th year, right? And so there's always something that is common amongst the group, and that's it. What's common is that emotional roller coaster. And so it's that kind of similar things that ties us all together, and we can talk to each other, get a good laugh. I laugh about being tall, you know, no longer, but it's something that ties us all together. And when we work through it, we find solutions. And this was a perfect thing because I got one little piece from that I'm able now to go back and implement and say, hey, because I wouldn't communicate it that well. But now I hear some of the other guys are communicating it here in that room, and now I'll go communicate it. And you know, that one little piece may be enough to have one more happy customer, and that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. you do a really good job of, how you interact with your clients, and you build a beautiful home. But, marketing is sort of interesting because you can build a beautiful home, but that may not be enough.
Yeah.
How we represent our brand, and you're very brand forward. You had this amazing home, was it a year ago or 2 years ago home that just incredible home, and how you sort of brought that to the community, and how that has sort of elevated even your platform.
Yeah.
There's always a way to sort of keep kind of going up the ladder. When you go back, other than the emotional roller coaster and really talking to your team, what do you think is something else operationally that you could probably apply more on the inner side to your team?
It's funny that you say that, because I think as I get older, I think more compartmentalized. I compartmentalize each part of the business, and I take it, and whether it's pre-construction, construction, process, marketing, AI, and how that goes into every single bucket, I call it. And I look at each bucket and I say, what is it that bucket's missing to make it better, to provide a better experience for my customer, more profitability for us? And what I'm going at is, how do I get it to be able to beat a competitor, right? And what you just said is important, right? Marketing. How, it's one thing to run the business, and that's incredibly important. We learned a ton in there today about it, but it's how you're promoting your business. And I really think that in building, and for contractors, that's the hardest part, because we can all geek out and get into the nitty gritty about, rain screens and how something's built, and process, and contracts, the finances. Those are all incredibly important, right? But what I'm finding in my business is more and more important is, how are we getting that next job? How are we building our brand? And how are we doing it effectively and efficiently? And that's one of the biggest things that I loved being here this weekend, was because I learned different things as to, now I can implement AI, and you're not hearing that because it's cutting edge. I can implement AI into my marketing and initial meetings with customers to make us not only look better, look more professional, but speed the process that my competitors aren't going to be able to do. And once I can master that, we get better videos quicker out there. That's something my competitors just aren't doing, and I'm going to get to future customers faster, which is what it's all about. And I think the big things that we learn from here is going to get me to do that.
That's awesome. If someone was considering coming to the Contractor Coalition and it was on the fence, what would you tell them to push them off the fence in the right direction?
Yeah,
I knew if I left that open-ended, you'd push them the wrong way.
I was like, I would just
I know you too well.
Don't tase me, bro. No, I would say that, here's how I would say it. I learned one, and at first I'd say, hey, trust me, I'm not going to push you off the fence, right? But you're going to want to get off that fence. And the reason why is, I learned one thing today, and it was about the billing, and how, if we're doing cost plus, how we're going to bill something to a customer. I learned today that I have been way undercharging for years for a specific line item. And what the summit did today in there is, it showed me that, wait a minute, I could be charging at least that per month on each project. And when I quickly did the numbers on my current projects, I'm like, I can go back and implement this and make 4 times what I spent to come here. Yeah. So when you talk about returns, just one thing, and that's not even getting into the other 3 days, but just one thing, I just put money in my pocket. So, that's what I would say to somebody to get them off the fence, is you're going to learn one thing, and you're going to say, that was it.
I think that should be our question going forward, especially for returning alumni. My one thing my first one in Nashville 3 years ago was my pre-construction agreement. I used to credit the client the money that they gave me. And Nick Schiffer, day one, first episode, said, just say you're not going to do that because you're doing that work for free. No wonder all your clients are signing it. And I was like, oh, well, that was pretty simple. I never thought about that. And now in the 3 years since, every single one, I've made that return over and over and over again. So even the thing that I think I know what you're talking about, which is probably project manager and supervision, would be my guess.
For mine, it was, believe it or not, it was online project portals. Builder Trend or Co-Construct.
Yes. You weren't charging for that before?
I was only charging one fee.
I see.
And they told me in there, you can go monthly.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
But see, here's the thing. Not only is it going to fix the jobs you have right now, but for as long as you build.
That's right.
And so it's like, you talk about that one thing just paid for your trip here 4 times over.
That's right.
Every year it'll do that, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. So what else you got, big guy?
Is that right? What manufactures your gel for your hair?
It's specially made by NASA. It's got a special silicone in it.
Okay,
I can't tell, nor can I get near any open fires.
All right, hot for open fires. It's part petroleum based. Okay, we are. How about this one? We're on an island.
Yes.
You got Tyler, Nick, Morgan, and myself. You have to kill 2 of them. Who are you killing?
Ooh, I might just kill myself. They all don't. None of them deserves to go.
Yeah, best answer ever. Wow. If you're interested in attending the Contractor Coalition in the future, please head to contractorcoalitionsummit.com or follow us on Instagram to find out more.